told him there's some real money in the room.
How did you take Walk being involved in gang-related activity, getting into fights at schools, at parties, and whatnot?
That was a very difficult and very tough time because of the consistency of the ongoing, I call it lashing out, angry all the time, trying to stay positive but couldn't, and bullying, I believe, played a major role in that too. But at some point, I couldn't tell who was being the bully. So I took it upon myself to not only install as a parent what you should and should not do, but I had to go beyond that point because of the fact that, you know, if I would have pushed the way my dad did and my mom did back in the day, it only would have furthered the gap between us. And that would have caused, I believe, more of a problem, even though things wasn't good at that time anyway. But when I started investigating, meeting his friends and, you know, going to the hood and all that kind of stuff, and even went far as feeding the guys, I found out that, you know, you line these guys up, they all had the same similar problem. Either their mom was on drugs or their dad was in jail or killed, and they were being abused one way or another. It was always the same similarities of negativity. So honestly, these guys really didn't have nothing positive to really live for. So, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but trees don't grow without water. That's just how it is. And kids without love, it's gonna be a disaster. Yep. When they don't get, and that's why they always say, you know, my brother, the streets love him, my brother love him, because they don't know really what real love is because they didn't experience it at home. Home wasn't really a home. Home was terror. Right. You know, like Junior's mom, his physical mom, she was a good person, but she got on them drugs and she just never was able to pull out of that. And that took a part of Junior that it took years for him to come to cope with, but he was steadily lashing out behind that. You feel me? And I saw other kids that he was running with, they had the same problem. So I knew it wasn't just him. This is the problem that 9 out of 10 us black folks deal with at a catastrophic level. And that's what's going on today.
So at some point, your house is shot up. Mm-hmm. For you, like, how was that experience?
That was on a Sunday, and I never forget it. I was on my way to work, and my wife and my stepson was here. And for some reason, the Spirit always let me know when something bad or good is gonna happen. And for some reason, my spirit was telling me something's bad about to happen. Don't go to work. You need to be around. And I'm like, but you know, the normal person gonna be like, okay, I'm tripping. Let me just go before I be late. And I left, and I got a phone call when I was in the parking lot. And they said, Al, you need to come back home right away. The house being shot at. And I said, what? And I jumped back in the car and flew back home. And when I got here, it was police everywhere. And the smoke from the guns, it was like somebody took 100 or 200 something thousand worth of fireworks and just shot up everything because it was smoke was just hanging from the gunpowder. And I jumped out the car, I ran to the door, and the police said, who are you? I'm Mr. Walker. And my wife and son, they was in here crying.
They were in the house?
They were in the house. Thank God that angel from heaven was here, because after all them bullets came through the house, not one of them got hit. So, and I didn't know where Junior was. Junior was not here. Matter of fact, I think he was at a friend's house when this took place, playing video games or something. Because back then, PlayStation was real popular back then. So I think that's what he was doing at the time this happened.
Oh, he didn't even know?
Not to my knowledge, no. But these boys that did this, it was crazy because what I found out, it was just some beef going on over some stupid stuff, probably with a girl or just somebody said something. It was always something that was totally unnecessary. It was never behind, like you come on, you steal my car, you done broke him out. It was never nothing that would make a person tip or flip. It was always behind something petty. And I'm just, I'm just glad that God definitely seen us through that, because that could have been a major, major disaster. Either one of them would have got hit.
So, okay, this happens, and is this when Sauce moves to Chicago?
Yes, had to get him out of here, drove him to Chicago, me and my friend, Mr. Winfield, because that was my first time experiencing, I guess you can say, gang or whatever, aggressiveness at that level. So my thing was to get him to safety and had to move out this house and move them, the rest of my family to safety, and just investigate and see who did this and find them and bring them to justice. Because it just, that was just totally crazy and uncalled for. Yeah.
So, okay, around what year does he come back? Because he ends up coming back to Texas. And was this his first time in Chicago?
No, because when he was little, he went with his mom and stayed for a little bit. Then they moved back, and then he stayed from that point forward. But then when he went back up then, he stayed about a year and a half maybe, and then he came back home. And we just went from that point, trying to put everything back together. His career was definitely put on hold here in Texas, but he was in Chicago still doing the music. I said, continue to do your music, stay out of trouble, keep writing, keep pushing. And while he was in Chicago, he definitely did that. He performed at certain different clubs. He kept writing music. He just did things to keep him out of trouble and stay positive. Even though, unfortunately, his mom at that point wasn't really ready to do the mom thing. So he had to struggle up there with that. So he stayed at grandma's house until he was able to come back here.
I believe his last album was Outrage Walker.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel when you saw he named his album after you?
Man, that was like watching your kid win the Little League World Series, or watching your kid go to Super Bowl, or how I can put it, watching your kid get inducted to the Hall of Fame. It was a real proud moment. One of those times that you can sit back and say everything you've been through in life, raising these boys and raising the kids, you can say, this one didn't forget about me. This one appreciated, the time and effort and what I've done. And this one recognized that what I did was out of love.
Hey, real tone, it's some real money in the room.